Hayward in elementary school about the importance of conservation. And that's not just with water, but of course with energy also. We take too much for granted that everything will just come as we need it. That's not how it works. We ran into the same problem with our finances, right? Everybody borrowing and not planning ahead first, that you should only spend what you have and you should also save. So that same concept has to apply, but it has to start as young people, and we need to teach it to them so they can teach it to their parents, because we do have a diverse population and the language access is important to also consider.
Thank you. Mr. Quirk?
Thank you. As a member of the Hayward City Council, I was involved. We have our own water system in Hayward. In addition, we get our water from Hetch Hetchy system, which is the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission, Hetch Hetchy Reservoir you've heard about, et cetera. So we were involved in looking at what happened beyond 2030 and what our water situation would be. And as my opponent, Dr. Ong, said here, conservation is a key. And we're doing a lot in that area. But the problem with this is that once you have a system where there's a lot of conservation, where you have urinals that take a pint of water and high efficiency toilets and drip irrigation, when it comes to a drought, there's very little you can do to conserve. So we have to look at additional sources. One thing that we do here in this state is we have a lot of people who use groundwater, and that's true in the Tri-City area, and then we have other areas like Hayward which used to use it and don't anymore. I think using that groundwater again will be critical to Hayward. We have to recharge the groundwater as well. That can be done by changing the way our rivers and streams flow into the bay. There's much more to be said on this, but I have to stop here.
Okay. Well, we'll give you another good one to chew on, and this is Mr. Quirk first. Do you support high-speed rail?
Yes, I support high-speed rail. I didn't have to take the tough vote on whether or not we would have to go forward on high-speed rail, but that one's been taken. And now that it has been taken, we have to make sure that the money that's going to be spent is spent well, that we don't have to build out the whole system to make the system pay. And one of the things they did in the legislature is they said, all right, we will build these couple of miles in the middle of the desert, from Modesto to Bakersfield, I think it is, or Fresno to Bakersfield. We will build those, but we will also upgrade transit in the Bay Area. They're going to be taking care of the Caltrain line. There's going to be money for transit in San Francisco. There's going to be money for rail lines in the Southern California area. I think that was a good approach. I think we have to be very careful with the money that's spent, that we spend it in a way that it can be used quickly, and that we grow the transit from our metropolitan areas and then into the Central Valley. We do need those few miles of lines to test out high-speed rail, but we need, most importantly, to make sure that we, I have to stop. I was going to say upgrade the transit in the metropolitan areas first. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ong?
Regardless of all the technical details that would have to be ironed out and fought, nobody's ever going to be happy enough about the concessions that would need to be made in order to build that. The bottom line is we're very behind compared to other industrialized nations when it comes to our transportation system. And our goal is always jobs, crime, education. If we don't have more jobs, it creates more crime, because we know this. There's more idle time. There's not enough money to be gathering resources, and so unfortunately, there's more temptation for crime. And those areas, especially in the Central Valley, the remote areas, One way that they can access more jobs is by having the transportation that allows them to do this. So for the quality of life also of our future generations, which is who we're doing this for, we need to think hard about how this is an investment in our future. So I do support the high-speed rail system. There will be passengers for that, and it will happen in our lifetime.
Good. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm going to announce this as the last question, and we'll start with Dr. Ong. Would you support revising Proposition 13, and specifically, would you support revising the Prop 13 rules for corporate real estate?
Right. So I actually, having owned my own business and renegotiated our lease, I'm on the receiving end of what it's like when you have property that has been paid off and is no longer going to be paying the same amount of taxes that you would generate. It's very unfair that that's created this problem of not having enough funding for our school system. So that will be something that we as a community need to work on. Again, not everybody's going to be happy about the concessions that need to be made, but we had a homeowner just the other night that said, look, my house has been paid off. I don't mind paying more taxes because it's for the schools. So here's a homeowner who's willing to do that, and we need to actually have businesses step up. And we have to all pay our fair share. And so there will need to be some changes there, and we'll need to, again, do it as a community because it's an uphill battle. Once you give something, it's hard to take it away. And that's what we did when Prop 13 passed.
Thank you. Mr. Quirk?
This is a really tough issue. First of all, anyone who thinks they're going to change the part of 13 that affects homeowners or apartment owners, I've got a bridge I can sell you. There is, I think, a possibility of looking at commercial property that is not used for residence. But we have to be very careful how we look at that. We don't want to drive businesses out of California. I think we should look at it. I think it's going to be a long and torturous process. And it can only be looked at if either 2/3 of the legislature is Democratic, which may happen in the Senate, will not happen in the Assembly, or there are a few Republicans who are willing to look at this as well. It's not something it's not something I'm sure we can look at unless we have those sorts of numbers, either 2/3 Democrats or a few Republicans who are willing to look at it as well. And then we need to work with the business community who owns these properties. I couldn't tell you what the formula might be. I am concerned that use of property can go from one corporation to another without title formally changing, whereas it would if you sold your house. And it's situations like that that I think we should be looking at in detail in the legislature. And we'll see. It's not going to be an easy process, but I think it's worth looking at if we think we can get the votes.
Good. Thank you. Now we'll move to the closing statement part of the program, and we'll begin with Mr. Quirk.
So part of the initial question for us was, what have you done that prepares you for the legislature? So I've had 8 years on the Hayward City Council, which I've really enjoyed. I didn't run because of the important issues that we've been talking about here tonight that I wish to help work on, particularly education. So what's my background that helps me there? Well, I got a PhD in astrophysics from Columbia. I taught at Columbia. I taught at Caltech. I taught at UC Davis. So I have some experience in education. I have a lot of experience, 8 years on our city council, where I learned how you get the votes together, how you craft a motion or craft a piece of legislation to get a majority vote. I have that experience. And I can tell you, it's very, very difficult experience to get. My first couple of years, I really was floundering. By the end of that time, I was still learning, but there was a lot that I could do. And it was my scientific background that really helped here. I could understand budgets. I could understand numbers. I could understand issues. But as I said, I'm not the expert. The experts were the city planners. The experts were the developers. The experts were the business owners. And I understand that. Unless we're going to do astrophysics or climate modeling, I'm not the expert. You people out there are the experts, and I promise that I will be consulting with you anytime I have tough legislation ahead.
Thank you. Dr. Ong?
I think what we're looking for from here on, having seen the negatives, unfortunately, in the media about our leaders, is our policymakers that really keep in mind that they make decisions that give dignity to the lives of others. And on top of that, I would say that having had 25 years of being an advocate for healthcare, all I have done all these years was to serve the public. And this is an extension of that public service from healthcare to the entire community. I look forward to having the opportunity to serve California because we never would have had all these opportunities, even in another state. When you're looking for a job, you're looking for someone who has that direct experience. I've been working on state legislation in the last 25 years, creating the collaborations, for example, to pass the state legislation that allows you to look at the menus with nutritional information at 10 restaurant chains or more. That was Senate Bill 120. I worked on that directly since we co-sponsored it from the Optometric Association with the Diabetes Association. There are several more bills that I have worked on over the years. This is the reason I'm running. I'm actually qualified directly to work on the passage and creation of legislation, and my personal background connects with the rest of the community, and I am so grassroots. I need to be with you and serve you more.
Thank you very much. Please join me in thanking the candidates for their willingness to run for this office and for being here.
And thank you all for staying here.
And we also want to thank you both for posting information for the voters on our Smart Voter website. As Election Day gets closer, you may feel overwhelmed by the amount of information that's coming at you in the media and in your mailbox. Where, you may wonder, can you find unbiased information you need to make decisions on all the different things that will be on your ballot? Well, we have an answer for you. It's smartvoter.org, an award-winning website put up by the League of Women Voters. And you can go to Smart Voter to see the ballot for your precinct, to find out where your polling place is, to get information on the ballot measures, and to see information that the candidates have put up, plus much more. So thank you very much for your attention. We remind you to vote no later than November 6th and take a friend to the polls. Thanks.